is Jaime Fiddler, and I am one of the two co-chairs of the Gandhi Foundation. I'm a member of the Métis Nation of Alberta, and I'm an educator living in Treaty 7 territory. The Gandhi Foundation makes its home in Treaty 6 territory, although we are a national nonprofit organization. We'd like to acknowledge this land and the First Peoples of Canada who have been caretakers of the land since time immemorial. The Gandhi Foundation is seeking to contribute in more meaningful ways to truth and reconciliation goals. And in this program today, you'll hear a little bit more about those initiatives. The Gandhi Foundation was originally founded to create more opportunities for intercultural communication and cooperation in the Edmonton area about 36 years ago. And today our mission is to continue that work and to work towards a more just and peaceful society.
We had just migrated from Pakistan when I was, I think, about 5 years old. And I vividly remember staying under the two elephant statues at the Birla Temple in New Delhi. A lot of refugees, a lot of people had come there, and we also thought maybe that may be a best place to stay. And while staying there, under that statue of elephant, we were playing in the grounds there, and I saw a big crowd running towards north side of the city, towards the temple, and and I heard people shouting, "Gandhi got shot! Gandhi got shot!" What a important figure he was, that thousands of people running towards it was a Birla Institute, or what is it called? Birla is one of the Birla house. Yes, it's a Birla house, and they running towards that where Gandhi was shot. Later, I really got into the history of it and read about Mahatma Gandhi, and that day, I mean, now I realize that how much Gandhi contributed towards bringing or earning independence for India from British rule, who have had ruled over 200 years. And here Gandhiji, without firing a single bullet, got India the independence. He was the epitome of ahimsa, or non-violence, and yet he gave the world a very potent weapon of a peaceful expression of ideas and peaceful resistance. All his movements were totally peaceful, and yet it shook the British Empire, and that was the beginning of the end of the British Empire, who used to brag about it, that the sun never sets in British Empire, and that was the beginning of the end of that thing. And once India got this particular independence, many other countries also followed the same. So on this particular day, we think, how much Gandhiji propagated ahimsa and everything, and yet he himself was shot by in a violent way because somebody thought that he was too generous to one sector of the society. He always preached unity between Hindu Muslims and also, of course, other religions as well. But it was this particular base that Nathuram Godse, he thought that Gandhiji was too much generous towards Muslims, and he shot him down. So for me, I think that particular day, the world lost a epitome of ahimsa, Mahatma Gandhi. So that's a great significance. Many other uh, Martin Luther King and other peace-loving leaders in the world, they followed the same footsteps. And to me, Mahatma Gandhi, who showed the world the way for peaceful resistance, it is a very significant day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to recognize and thank all who contribute their energy, ideas, and leadership to the season for nonviolence. During this special time, I'm reminded of two pieces of wisdom from Mahatma Gandhi. He once said, "In a gentle way, you can shake the world." And he also said, "You may never know what results come from your action, but if you do nothing, there will be no result." These profound words remind us that we each hold the power to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others and in shaping the world. Any action that we take, however small, to stand up to injustice and to build compassion, reconciliation, and intercultural understanding in our community is an important step forward. Working together, we can foster peace and inclusion for all. I offer my heartfelt thanks to everyone at the Mahatma Gandhi Canadian Foundation for World Peace and to all those who share its most important vision. I wish you every possible success in your essential efforts.
I just was immediately taken by this idea of having this 64-day period, which falls between January 30th, the memorial anniversary of Gandhi's assassination, and April 4th, the anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. And I thought, what a wonderful thing to gravitate towards and to focus on during that 64-day period. Each day of the season gives us a different focus where we are contemplating and trying to act upon traits. It's traits, values that lend themselves to the creation of a more just and peaceful society and world. I loved that the season was the brainchild of Arun Gandhi, who is Mahatma Gandhi's grandson. And he's got a pretty powerful statement about why he wanted to launch this. So would you mind if I shared that
I
quote?
think that would be great. That would be great.
Okay, so Arun Gandhi said, how can we move toward a more peaceful world, society, community, school, classroom, home, life, and self? We do so by developing a language, dialogue, exploration, stories, and history of nonviolence, new values, new principles to live by, habits to practice, and new agreements. The season for nonviolence is one way of helping to facilitate that shift in our personal and social culture. Its mission is to demonstrate that there is another code of conduct. And I think that for me, particularly as a teacher, and I liked teaching thematically, and I certainly recognize that as a teacher, I had such a profound and powerful influence on my students, and also knowing that these were the future citizens of the world, right? Gandhi said, if we are to reach peace, we must begin with the children. And I really believe that in the core of my being, that, if we can help children to see that they have a voice, that they have the power to make the world a better place, then that is going to filter out. And I think that is how change in our world is going to happen. As just a citizen of the world, I thought how wonderful if we can also embrace the season and look at how we can tweak our lives so that as we're going about our daily business, how is it that we can facilitate this greater focus on peace and justice and the positive traits that we know our world is so in need of. But one of the things I really like about the season is that those 64 days are divided into thirds. And the first third focuses on personal nonviolence, because we do live in a culture that, for whatever reason, causes us to be very judgmental about ourselves and perhaps not to treat ourselves as kindly as we recognize we should treat others. But for some reason, we exclude ourselves from that same compassionate focus. So yeah, the first third of the season focuses on personal nonviolence. The second third of the season is on interpersonal. So your daily relationships, how can those be more positive? What can you bring to those relationships? And recognizing that that is your responsibility to bring peace, justice, compassion, kindness, caring to interpersonal relationships. The last third of the season, the last 20 or so days, focuses on community, and whether that is your local community, your church, your school, your neighborhood, whether it's your city, your country, or the global community. How can you be an agent for positive change in those realms?
That's fantastic. Well, I want to invite everybody to come join us for the Season for Nonviolence. We have posts that will daily go up on our website that Colleen actually had developed for us to introduce the values and practices for each day and give some examples of things you might do. We also will be working with a number of teachers who are going to engage their students in creating posts for our Facebook page for maybe not every day, but many of the days. So I invite you to join us in whatever way you can. And thank you again, Colleen.
Thank you, Ava. It's been a pleasure.
We pledge to work with Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island to seek, acknowledge, and educate ourselves about the truth of Canada's colonial past and present. We pledge to walk the path of healing, moving towards reparation and reconciliation through creating relationships built on love, respect, compassion, and justice for all living things, including the earth herself. We pledge to work for a world that values peace, meaningful participation, justice, sustainability, and love in all aspects of life. Well, one of the things that I've done is to participate in the Coursera course on Indigenous history. So there is a book club that myself and other members are engaged in every 2 weeks where we discuss truth and reconciliation. So that's one thing that I've done. I'm a teacher, and the second thing that I've done is I have made an effort to introduce my students to the artwork of various Indigenous artists from across Canada. We want to seek to understand the understanding they have with Mother Earth and relate it to our own understanding. So these are two things that I've done. One as a board member, one as a teacher. And then personally, what I'm trying to do is to connect with Indigenous people, Indigenous thought, and try and gain an understanding of the difference between my own connection with the earth and the land as a settler, and with the Indigenous perspective. So those are two things that I've done on my road to truth and reconciliation.
Mahatma Gandhi died not long before I was born, but I was young when I learned about him and the values that guided his life, and he has been an inspiration and an encouragement to me over the decades. In more recent years, I've been learning more of the real story of how the land was stolen from Indigenous peoples in the Americas, and how deliberate efforts were made to kill the culture and even the peoples that were here. I see heartbreaking evidence of how much damage was done that still creates terrible consequences today. And so I value the commitment and pledge of the Mahatma Gandhi Canadian Foundation for World Peace, as it pays special attention to the need of those who believe ahimsa, the commitment to act for the good of others, to work for healing, reparation, and reconciliation with the First Peoples. More widely, I see the results of actions of greed, hate, fear, and anger, putting the future in danger all over the planet for people and all our relations. I worry about the future for my own 10 beautiful grandchildren. But the inspiration I find in Mahatma Gandhi assures me that these twisted and dangerous values, often disguised to seem attractive, do not need to succeed. It is not easy to walk against the direction of the crowd, but with quiet determination, Gandhi did this, and the results were good. I value the anniversary of Gandhi's death, not as a time to grieve, but as a time to renew my own commitment to his values of humility, honesty, respect, courage, truth, and love.
The intention of ahimsa is alive in the actions of ahimsa, actions swept along on the moving tide of the wisdom of bell hooks, who reminds us all that love is as love does. Ahimsa is as ahimsa does. The commitment to ahimsa guides my fervent hopes and my spirit as a feminist abolitionist under construction. As my heart is lifted by the beautiful ocean shores and tree-lined majesty here in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, I honor the defenders and protectors, including the grassroots grandmothers. As a member of the Mahatma Gandhi Canadian Foundation for World Peace, I am grateful to join the collaborative voice for peace and to challenge the culture of war, aggression, and militarization. Action is our work, seeking truth as the guide on the path to healing, made possible when love and imagination holds the reins to change. The Mahatma's teachings guides us and challenges us to take courage and search truth boldly through love. We need the imagination to get us out of the predicament of species extinction and planetary survival. War is a failure of the imagination, as is racism and sexism. It is a dangerous ignorance binding us to lost causes. Let us celebrate ahimsa and the teachings of truth and justice together.
I'm here today with Michelle Nividomi. I'm Dee Panu. I am a board member with the Mahatma Gandhi Foundation for World Peace. And today we're delighted to have participated in a KAIROS blanket exercise that Michelle very capably presented to us. Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about the blanket exercise and maybe the messages that reconcile so well with the messages that Gandhiji also gave us and left us with.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to come to facilitate this powerful emotional experience. The blanket exercise, really is meant to be an opportunity where individuals are interacting with a story of the Indigenous peoples and Canada. So it's meant to transform from the heart. And out of that transformation, out of that knowledge, that's where we respond in a good way. Mm-hmm. That's where we want to reconcile the circle. We want to reconcile our own, thoughts and what we carry within ourselves, so that we can walk in a good way, the mio pamatsu, and walk that good life. And peace is one of those ideas that is important. And I also believe the KAIROS blanket really inspires us to respond from the heart. It inspires us to carry out that good message of walking in peace with one another. And in order for that to happen, we have to listen to the truth. Right. And that's what the KAIROS blanket exercise is all about, listening to the truth and then walking and responding in a good, peaceful way.
Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayu Navidite. In the pursuit of righteous action, there is neither loss nor denigration of the individual. From my humble understanding of Gandhi's life, righteous action is both social and devotional in nature. On the one hand, the individual is a social being who seeks to nurture all communal bonds through compassion, ahimsa, seva, and cooperation. On the other hand, the individual is a devotional being who seeks to understand the natural world through contemplation and devotional worship. The individual allows their thoughts and actions in society to be imbued by that very devotion, whether through acts of generosity or Daan. Daan and Seva, to give and to serve. This is an important principle of Gandhi's legacy that we should keep in mind as we remember Gandhi and as we learn to forgive. To commemorate this legacy of Gandhi, I will be taking part in the Gandhi Daan Seva on January 30th. The Gandhi Daan Seva is a campaign through which Gandhians across the globe operationalize the principles of forgiveness, Daan, and Seva by making generous donations of blood in their municipalities. I encourage all members, friends, and fellow Gandhians to participate in the Gandhi Daan Seva during the season for nonviolence by making a donation of blood between January 30th and April 4th.
So I'm pleased to offer a song to our program, and this song is called We Shall Overcome. It was originally written by an African-American Methodist minister, Charles Tinley, as a hymn in the early 1900s. And since that time, it's become a really popular protest song in many different places in the world, but especially in the States, and it's been performed by artists like Pete Seeger and Joan Baez. And recently, a number of artists in India performed this song in multiple languages, and I found that really inspiring. And so I invited a couple of folks in the Gandhi Foundation to teach me the main verse, We Shall Overcome, in a different language. And today I'm going to share the Hindi version and the French version of the main verse, We Shall Overcome, and I'll sing some of the other verses in English. And what I like about this song is it really is a forward-looking song, and what it's looking forward to is a hopeful future in which we're all working together. So as I'm singing, I'll imagine you singing along at home in whatever language your heart feels like singing in today.
members of the Mahatma Gandhi Canadian Foundation for World Peace and friends. We're here today to make 108 bagged lunches for the Operation Friendship Senior Center. The Mahatma Gandhi or the Gandhi Foundation sponsors 3 lunches a year at the Operation Friendship Senior Center. One on the anniversary of Gandhiji's passing, one at the end of the season for nonviolence, and one on the anniversary of Gandhiji's birthday.
We'll walk